Morning, Trainiacs. Coach Pat is in San Francisco for spring break, and that means that we don't have a crushingly long swim this morning. Yeah, Monday was just a scant 2,000. Today, maybe a little longer. 25-ish. Relatively, that's not bad. No orange kickboard? Go black. Next fastest. Wee little swim, and then I want to show you the assessments to figure out what exercises you should be doing from Jay Dikery's book, Running Rewires. Good stuff. Really good. Nice try, Garmin. Not 3250, 2500. All right, Andrew, do you want to go pose in front of our picture?
You should.
You should. You're on there too.
You're the reason that.
Showing off your nipples. Who does that?
So why in the world would you put these unattractive individuals here?
Do you like it?
Oh, I love it. I think it's beautiful.
Really? I have two of them. That's when we do all our registration and everything. We put it out.
And it doesn't scare people off?
No. I think it's
Funny.
so good. I take it everywhere with me.
Oh, I would too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't blame you. When you're done with them, I'd like to put it above my bed.
Absolutely.
Good looking poster there, guys. I tell you. I should put it at the end of the lane. I had a hard time concentrating. Now, let's assess your limiters with becoming a better athlete. Shirts now. Okay, before we go inside, look at what Mel brought.
Hey, bud. Haha, big urn.
Let's get you running in a fast, efficient, and hopefully injury-free way. This is a book that I'm not being paid for. I actually paid for this book. This is written by Jay Dikery. I've mentioned this just recently. Now I'm gonna read you something from this book here to explain what it's about. There are specific skills that you should have in your running toolbox. The repetitive nature of running means that many of us take a body that really doesn't know how to move at its best and rack up the mileage. Through years of repetition, you wire your body to move one way and run one way. When someone comes along and tells you that you need to improve your form or move a different way, you simply can't do what they're saying. You haven't built the muscle memory to move differently. Even subtle changes to your running form feel awkward and hard. You can't help but notice that your form still looks nothing like that of the Kenyans, and your times aren't improving. A lot of runners have conducted this experiment and failed, concluding that focusing on form is a waste of time. Well, there is a better way to run better. So essentially what Jay is saying in this book is that it's not just a matter of, let's say somebody saying, all right, well, you need to strengthen your glutes or you need to tilt your pelvis better and lean forward. I don't know who would have said that just over the last few weeks. You actually have to train your muscles to fire in a different way, and that's going to be very hard if all you're doing is thinking about it. You need to rewire the firing pattern that sends the signals from your brain to your muscles. There are 7 tests that I'm going to walk you through right now that are going to basically unlock your ability to move freely, and then Jay can get you healthy and fast. So the first test there is no real test for. It's about, are you able to stand upright with a nice straight back? Do you have tightness in your back? Are you slouched forward? Do you have tightness in your chest, and are you impinged there? And essentially, this test just says, have you had tightness in your mid-back? This guy really has. And if you do, then you're not even going to be able to have good posture on the run. Now the next test is a hip mobility test, and he recommends that you do this in a door jamb, but we don't have a door jamb here. And what you do is you go up to the door jamb on the inside. You make sure that this femur is vertical and this shin is vertical. You stick your butt up to the door, put your top back up to the door, and then you level out your back so that your entire back is touching the door jamb. And if you are like me and you have tight hips from sitting at a desk for years, you're gonna feel a really big pull there, at which point your hip isn't mobile enough to have that nice fluid running stride. Oh, old bones! The next test is a test for ankle flexibility. And what you do in this case is you go up to a wall and you'll do this 2 times and twice on each ankle. The first one you do is you put your toe up to a wall and you see if your knee can touch the wall. I can, good. Then you move it back about 5 centimeters and you see if you're still able to get your knee to touch the wall. Do that on both sides, and if you find that you can't touch the wall without a serious amount of tightness, you've got calf tension and your foot is going to be constantly fighting that tension, and it's not going to be loose enough or limber enough to have a nice running stride. Now, next test is a very simple posture test. You literally just stand and you see where your weight is on your feet. Is it on the tiptoes? Is it balanced midfoot? Or is it on your heels? In my case, it's on my heels. So that means that I'm leaning too far back and I've got to train myself to lean more forward. Now, this next test should be fun for all of you. It's a balance test or a foot mobility test, and it's to assess how, interactive our foot is with the ground. Can it adjust to little micro movements in your balance and in the terrain? For this, close your eyes and try to balance on one foot, and this should be hilarious for you all. Do this for 30 seconds and then do it with the other foot and see if there's a difference in one foot versus the other. Now, I'm actually not too bad at that because as I'm brushing my teeth, I'm trying to balance on one foot and then the other. Life hacks, baby. Now, the next test involves some bare feet, and you're wanting to find out if your big toe has the ability to stabilize your foot strike. And what you're doing here is you're seeing if you can move your big toe down and press it into the ground independently of the other piggies. You're also going to see if you can move the other little piggies up independently of the big toe, and that's going to let you know basically if your big toe is awake and active and firing well enough to run well. And the final test is to assess if your kneecap has enough mobility to move back and forth and not create impingement. And what you do with this is you bend your leg at about a 10-degree angle, and then you take a TerraBand and you wrap it just above your knee, going up the waist, and you want this to be nice and tight. And then once you've got it wrapped a fair ways up, you tuck it in. You do 20 squats, and once you've done that, you take this off, and if you had knee pain before but no knee pain after, odds are good that you need to work on your knee mobility. And then after doing that, you've got a sense of, do you even have the mobility to be a good runner? If you pass all of those tests, good. Go on to some mobility and strengthening and function and form exercise. But if you don't, correct those limiters before you start thinking about the form. And in this book, all of the corrective movements are in there. And I'll say that in just the week or so that I've been doing these exercises, I've found that when I get onto the treadmill, I can feel myself in particular pushing myself forward quite a bit more easily, activating those glutes and being more stable on my foot as opposed to pulling myself with my foot, which is inefficient, and activating my quads, which are a smaller muscle group than my badunkadunk. So I'm a fan. Let's try to get Jay on the podcast. So there you go, Triathlon Trainiacs. If you are into those interview-style podcasts, go check out the Triathlon Terran podcast. It is the most reviewed triathlon podcast in the world. If you're into daily, every single weekday triathlon tips, go check out the Triathlon Trainee Ask podcast. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below. And if you are subscribed, thank you. And hit the like button.